All right, everyone, welcome. I'm just getting everything set up here. My name is Will, if you don't know me yet. And I'm going to be doing some free live tarot readings today. And I'm going to try something a little different with the chat. Hi, B. Hi, Prob. So that it's easier for me to see who wants to be on the list. What I'm asking is that you just write in all caps, please add me to the list. And if you just do it one time, that way when I'm scrolling through the chat, I think it'll be easier for me to see and then I won't miss people. And, since I'm like looking at the chat and then looking at the cards and everything, I think it'll just be an easier way for me to handle everything. But we'll try it, right? We'll try it today, and if it works for me, then I'll use it, and if it doesn't work, then I'll figure something else out. So Prob, I'm adding you to the list, and B, I'm adding you to the list. Cool. So let me burn some Palo Santo. And I picked out 3 decks today, and I think only one of these I've used before with the lives. That's the Conver Bendove Tarot de Marseille on the far right here that I use for most of the readings. But I pulled 2 other decks out because I thought, I don't know, change it up a little bit and try them out. One of them on the left here, this is another kind of mini deck. It's a small size deck. So I'll use it if I need to like do a 9-card spread today, if that comes up with anybody's question. And it's called the Squid Cake Tarot de Marseille. It's a lot of fun. It's a little cutesy, and like a little cartoony, but it has a lighthearted vibe and it reads really well. So I pulled that out. And then in the middle, I've got the Shadowland Tarot. And this is a new deck for me. I've only used it a little bit, and I wanted to play with it a little more today. I think it's good for like shadow work, and maybe if there are any sort of uncomfortable questions that come up today, I might pull it out for that. But we'll see what I feel and what comes up and all of that. So that's my plan for the readings today. And so I guess let's dive on in. Maybe I'll just say, if anybody is new here, I know we've got Prob and B. They're old pros with me. If anyone else is here, my name is Will, and I'll be doing some free readings. And you're welcome to request a free reading in the chat by typing, please add me to the list in all caps, just one time. And then periodically I'll go through and check the chat to see who needs to be added to the list. So, Prob, you are the first on my list. And so if you would care to post your question in the chat, I can read it and figure out which deck might go best with it today. All right. Ooh, you're quick today. Okay, so do you see me getting a chance to see Mark in person ever again? It seems like I probably never will get to know him. And so is Mark a like a former boyfriend or just a friend, or what was you like a crush? Okay. Let's see. Trying to decide which deck I'd like to use. I think I'm going to go with my old standby. Just because I'm most comfortable with it, and that'll get us started. So we want to know if at any point in the future there's a chance that Prob could see Mark in person. again. Not online, but actually in person. And Prob adds, we were in the same college, but not the same courses, and now we have both graduated. Got it. And you kind of liked this person, and now you're wondering, like, are our paths ever going to cross again? Will we ever see each other again? Or not? So I will say that it's a little tough if we say, like, ever again, because that's like decades and decades of time. And so it's most accurate in shorter, nearer portions of time. Only because, like, between what happens now and what happens a decade from now, there are so many variables, and so many things could change that it's hard to say for sure. But if we were to sort of go into it with that qualifier, let's see what we get. Hi, John V. Welcome, I'm Will. I'll add you to the list in just a moment. Okay, so let's pull some cards here. I think we'll start with just 3. Is there any chance of seeing Mark again in person? All right, let's see here. All right, 4 coins. That's about stability. That's about things staying the same. 4s are about things, however they are, staying that way. But 7 coins, that can be about accepting something new, some change coming in. Ooh, and the Empress. The Empress comes up here. So, I mean, I think I would read you as the Empress in this spread. And so I guess the way that I'd read this, the short answer I think that I would say is probably not, because the 4 would indicate things staying the way they currently are. And so if you're not currently seeing him in person ever, then the 4 would kind of say that will continue. The 7 can be about wondering if you've done things the right way, wondering if you should have done things differently, second guessing, and trying to accept that whatever's happened in the past has led you to where you are now. And then if this Empress is you, and I see no reason to think that it isn't, then this would be you sort of doing really good on your own. I say on your own because there's no other human figure in the other cards. Like I don't see a card that would represent Mark, for example. And so, Prob says they lost the connection. So I was just saying I think the answer is probably no, because the 4 represents things staying the way that they are, right? Like stability, sturdiness, things not changing, things staying how they are. The 7 of coins would represent thinking back about what's happened in the past and whether it was worth it and whether you made the right decisions, and trying to accept that whatever happened in the past has led you to where you are in this moment. And then the Empress is the only card with a human figure on it. And so it would sort of make me like, there's not another figure here that would represent Mark, which makes me think you wouldn't be seeing him in person. With the Empress, I would think of someone who is really good at taking care of themselves, who is comfortable, who knows how to get things done, take action in the world, who's grounded, like all good things with the Empress. We love to see the Empress, but I don't see, for example, like an Emperor also, or a Knight of Wands writing in who might represent Mark. And so um, I think I'd place a little caveat on it just to say probably not in the near future, right? Because as I said at the beginning of the reading, like 10 years from now, so many things could change that who knows, right? It's like I really think that beyond a year, you really can't say much with too much certainty. And then the smaller the um, time period, like the closer the time period, the more accurate it's more likely to be, right? So like 6 months is more accurate than a year, 3 months is more accurate than 6 months, 1 month is more accurate than 3 months, and so on. Um, but it seems like right now things are most likely to kind of stay the same, and you might need to, you might feel like there might be a little bit of feeling of regret that can sometimes happen with the Seven of Cups, like wishing you'd invested yourself or your time differently or in a different place, or like wishing maybe that you'd had a chance to get closer to him when you were able to see each other in person. Um, so that would be my sort of tentative answer right at the moment, that in the near future things are likely to stay the same mostly, rather than have him sort of galloping in from afar into your life again. But like that doesn't mean you couldn't be friends from a distance potentially, or at a minimum sort of maintain some contact maybe online, so that if circumstances did change and suddenly you both end up in the same place or near one another, maybe you are able to change things, right? I almost think, like, I said this to someone the other day. I said, like, the very act of asking the question and having me pull cards for you can change the outcome. Because if I say to you today, the cards don't show the two of you seeing each other in person, right? Well, you could say, I'm not satisfied with that. I want to do something that will make it so that we will see each other in person, right? And then maybe you do that. Or maybe you don't, and that's fine too. But it's sort of like, if nothing else changes, then I think things are likely to stay the same, meaning you probably wouldn't run into each other in person. So yeah, I mean, it's possible that he would just show up in your life one day, if he makes a choice, or there's some circumstance changes in his life, maybe that nobody even knows about or has any control over. Um, and if there's no way to foresee that, then like it wouldn't show up in the cards now. But so, like, never say never, right? I would never say never. But I would say something would have to change from what's currently happening in order to see him in person again. But I guess that's kind of an obvious statement, right? You already knew that, right? Because you're not seeing him, so obviously something would have to change. But I guess the cards just kind of confirm that there doesn't seem to be any miraculous event that's coming in the near future that's going to make it so you're going to see each other in person really soon. So, how does that sound? It sounds like it probably goes along with what you expected. Yeah, and it might be the kind of thing where Prob says they don't really know what to change. I mean, it might be the kind of thing where, like, you won't know until it happens, right? Like, there's a job opportunity, or I don't know, somebody decides to travel or like go on vacation and suddenly you're crossing paths again, or I don't know, you're both at the same airport in a totally different place on the same day, and it was totally random that that ever could have happened. It's not impossible, but at the moment, uh, I think it's not super likely to happen. I mean, if it's someone you like and you have a relationship with them online, you know, maybe just talk to them and try to develop it there a little bit if you feel like that would make any sense. But you know, everybody's circumstances are different, so and everybody's needs are different. So maybe that wouldn't, because the other thing you can get into is like you're trying so hard to develop a relationship with someone online who it's unlikely you'll ever get to see in person. And since you're doing all of that, you're not meeting people in person where you actually live. You know, so that would be something to consider too. Okay, I'm just going to check the list here. John V, I'm adding you to the list. And then Drift King, I am adding you to my list. And welcome, my name is Will. I'm doing free tarot readings today. It's first come, first served today. And if you're interested in having a reading, you can just type, please add me to the list in all caps one time in the chat, and that will let me know to add you to the list. And since it's in all caps, I'll be able to see it easily as I'm scrolling through all the messages that come through. I'm glad you like my handwriting. Thanks. So I think we've got B next. You're welcome, Prob. You're very welcome. We've got B next. If B is here, I can do a reading for B. Cool. Here's the question. If B started talking to or seeing S again, what would happen? We weren't in a relationship before, just seeing each other for a few months. I won't be upset with a bad outcome, so you can be blunt. All right, I'll be blunt. I like that. So, if a relationship started up between B and S, what would be the likely outcome of that? So let's pull 3 cards for that one. And let's see what we see. Okay. B and S. If they were in a relationship, what would be the likely outcome of that? All right, 10 wands here on the left, and that can be, there's a couple of ways to interpret this depending on the surrounding cards. It can be fiery passion that like gets to be too much to the point where it's like a burden and it feels like a lot of work. It can also mean, though, a lot of loyalty and like helping one another through things. Ooh. Okay. 9 wands. So 10 becomes 9. That like 1 is missing. 1 goes away. There's 2 wands up against one another here. And then one of them disappears. Like there's an interruption or someone gets hurt or something makes the other one go away. And judgment, waking up again, being reborn, figuring things out, being judged. Like if somebody, I mean, judgment can be good or bad depending on what you did to be judged, right? if people do nice things to one another, we can judge them and say, "That was wonderful. Thank you so much." And if people do terrible things to one another, we can judge them and say, "What is wrong with you? Why would you do that to somebody?" Right? But usually the judgment card is about um, having a pretty big personal revelation that, like, I used to be one way and now I realize I wake up like I'm reborn. You can imagine these people being dead and in coffins, right? And then on the day of judgment, they are reborn. They are resurrected, might be another way of putting it. And things start anew, things start over again for them. So, reading this in the context of the question, I think at first you would have a very passionate and good time with this person. The 10 of Wands, like, I think it would occupy a lot of your time, the relationship. You would maybe spend a lot of time together. It might be kind of fiery, which can mean passionate in a very fun kind of way. It can also mean fighting, right? That carries over to different sides of life. So, like, it could be really, if you can imagine, like a smoldering, fiery, kind of exciting thing that also might kind of feel like a pain in the butt sometimes, like a burden, right? If you can imagine, like, having to carry all 10 of the wands, that's the most wands you would ever have to carry. So it might be kind of exhausting, while still maybe fiery and fun at the same time. But then something would happen that would cause an interruption to all of that. And that might make you feel a little defensive or alone or wounded. And like, you might need to sort of build a fence up around yourself. I mean, the only way I can think of this would be getting hurt in some way, right? Like deciding it's not worth it, or the other person does something that upsets you, and then sort of waking up and realizing maybe this isn't for you in the long run. So, like, I would approach this cautiously, but also optimistically, depending on what you want, I guess I'd say. Like, if having a fiery, passionate relationship with someone, even if it doesn't last super long, interests you, then I would totally consider going into this, right? Because we can always learn from our relationships with other people, even if they don't last forever, right? Most relationships don't. Most relationships don't last super long, but that doesn't mean we can't get something out of them and learn something and grow from them, right? Um, if you're only interested in, like, a soulmate, long term, permanent kind of relationship, I think this probably is going to leave you pretty disappointed, right? But if you go into it thinking we could learn something from each other, maybe we could have a good time, there could be some passion, and go into it like with your eyes wide open, that at some point you may realize this is not for you, and just sort of know that when that moment comes, you won't be shocked by it, right? Um, then I think it could be great, and it could be fun, and you could get something out of it. So there are no major warning signs. There's not like a 10 of swords, for example, where I might say there could be deceit happening or getting stabbed in the back, metaphorically. There's no devil. There's no tower. There's no 7 of swords that might say deception also, or tears. Um, but it's a lot of wands as opposed to cups, right? And it ends with judgment as opposed to, like, the lovers, right? Or the sun or something like that. And so um, it's not like watch out. It's like, just if you go into it with your eyes open and be aware of what you're getting yourself into. Um, it doesn't look like it would be a soulmate kind of long-term perfect kind of situation. So depending on what you're looking for, you know, you should know that going into it. So, B, what do you think? Um, that's I I don't need to be super blunt about it because there's nothing super scary. Uh, but there's also nothing that's like, there's no 10 of cups with a rainbow here, for example, that kind of thing. Let me check the chat here and see how we're doing. We've got some new folks in. Hi, welcome. I'm Will. KXZAAY. Hi, welcome. And we've got Jasmine. Hi, Jasmine. And we have Elle. Hi, everybody. Good to see you. My name's Will. I'm doing free tarot readings today. If you are interested in a reading, please check the pinned message at the top. I'm asking everyone just to type one time in all caps, please add me to the list so that I will know that you would like to be added to the list. Okay. Yeah, I also like the way that the 10 and the 9 came out. It does feel very much like it was meant to be. And I just always with these cards, it's like there's all of these wands, 8 of them, right, that are crossing one another, sort of forming a mesh or forming a basket or like something, like maybe a bonfire, that kind of thing. And then there's 2 wands loyally next to one another, sort of carrying that burden together. But then with the 9, one of the 2 has disappeared. Like it's dropped out. It's not helping to carry the burden anymore. Might be a way of putting it. And then there's the wake up call of like, if they are not helping to carry the burden, why am I doing it alone? That kind of thing. Okay, Elle and Jasmine, I've added both of you to the list. And B says it was very fiery, passionate before. Yeah, I think that would continue. Yep, fiery, passionate, like could be a lot of fun, right? If you're looking for fun, I think that this could be great. You just need to go into it aware that that is what's on the menu. And if that's not what you want, or if you think that that would just sort of be repeating something from the past that isn't going to help you grow and is a distraction, then maybe you don't want to do it. But okay. Sounds great until you catch major feelings. Yeah, if you catch major feelings, you would get hurt. I think that if you go into it with higher expectations than a 10 of wands scenario that's going to turn into a 9 of wands scenario, then you would get hurt. So if you know yourself well enough to know that you cannot manage the expectations, maybe you should avoid this, right? So John V, you are next on my list. And so if you would like to post your question in the chat, awesome. You're welcome, B. You're very welcome. Okay, John V's question. Could I please get a career reading? I'm planning to start an apprenticeship. My employer will be paying for my tuition. It is a tough one. Will I be able to pass all the exams? Okay, so let's see. The real question there is, will I be able to pass all of the exams? And so let me ask, are the exams, is this like, how long is the program? Is it like you're going to be doing this for 2 or 3 or 4 years, or is it a shorter term thing? And I only ask because the further out we're talking in terms of time, the harder it is to know with any certainty. Like if it's a 4-year program and there's an exam at the end, okay, 39 months minimum. So couple of years, 3 years. Okay. So, why don't we limit it just to like the first year, because that should give us a clear picture, at least of how it gets started. There's so many variables if we go out to like 3 years that it'll just be less dependable, I feel, any results we get. So let's ask, like, the exams in the first year or so, how are those going to go? Okay. And so for a question like this, I'm going to pull 3 cards from this deck. Whoops. Okay, that just sort of snuck right out on me. So I'm going to put it up here. Justice. So for a question like this, I'll pull 3 cards and we'll see what we get. Let me just give them a shuffle. And I'll read the cards in the context of the Justice card that popped out as I was shuffling. Okay, here we go. And welcome to anyone who might just have joined us. My name is Will, and I'm doing some free tarot readings today. If you would like to request a reading, you may do so. Check the pinned chat message. Okay, will John V do well in their exams? One sword becomes 2 swords, and then the Tower. Okay, so I'm going to read the cards as straightforward and honestly as I can. I don't tell people just what I think they want to hear, because what you want to hear, I think, is everything's going to be easy and fun, and you'll have to work hard, but you'll be able to do it. And the cards here are potentially a little less happy. Okay, and the other thing I'd say before I read them is just that the very act of asking the question and having me answer it using the cards can change the outcome, right? Like if you hear news you don't want to hear, that doesn't mean it's going to happen, right? That means sort of, if things continue as they are right now, this is what's likely to happen, right? But it all can change, right? We all have free will, and we all have the ability to some extent at least, to influence the outcome of what's going to happen in our lives. All right. So first, let's talk about Justice, because Justice popped out of the deck and almost like it wanted to be seen here and watch over this reading. And so Justice is about taking responsibility and making the right decisions over usually a long period of time, because Justice works very, very slowly. It's about using your mind, right? Justice has this sword, right? And swords are about the mind. And we've got more swords down here. And so Justice is about saying every action has a consequence, right? Every effect has a cause, and you should weigh very carefully and think very carefully about what you can do to get the effect, the consequence that you want, as opposed to the one that you don't want, right? Um, the Ace of Swords is about using the mind. It's about having a new idea. It's about working with your mind. It's about studying. It's about having a sharp mind. It's about integrating new ideas and having a lot of potential and new beginnings and getting started on a new intellectual project. So, this I would see you studying, working towards victory, working to do as well on those exams as you can, right? But I think it's gonna be a challenge, and I say that because next is the Two of Swords. So if you think that, if swords are about the mind, if we think about the growth of the mind from 1 to 2, that's very slow, right? From 1 to 2 is sort of as slow as it could go. So that makes me think that, this studying is gonna be a challenge, right? That as you're doing it, whatever, I don't know if it's studying like reading books or if it's some practical like application, but I think it's something you would really have to focus on and work at and get in the zone. And with the Two of Swords, I think about putting up boundaries, right? If you're like this big, beautiful flower that's trying to grow, the way you can allow yourself or make it possible to grow is by putting these swords around yourself, these sharp instruments that keep the other little flowers away from you, right? So I would think of, like, for example, sacrificing fun times with friends, and you've got to put your swords up because if you're hanging out with friends, you're not studying, right? That kind of thing. Saying, I'm not going to be able to spend time with this person or do that activity um, because I have to study, right? I have to grow. I have to become this big flower in the middle and not let these little flowers on the outside encroach on my space or take away anything from me, right? Okay. That brings us to the Tower, and folks who are familiar with tarot will know you usually don't you're usually not hoping to see the Tower at the end of a spread, right? Because the Tower is about something falling over. The Tower is usually said to be built on a foundation that's not strong enough, not stable enough, right? And that's the reason that it falls over. It has to fall over so that you can rebuild something stronger and better, right? And so the way I would sort of read this, and it's not, I don't really want to say it because I don't think you want to hear it, but it's like you're going to be putting in a lot of effort, but the Tower would say like it's not going to work. Like it's going to fall down. The effort's going to fall down. You're building with your swords, building your mind. And there's a lot of potential, and you're putting up your boundaries and you're trying to focus and get in the zone and do it. But it's turning into a Tower situation. And so again, I want to super emphasize this is not inevitable. It's not like well, I guess better give up. There's nothing we can do, right? That's not true at all. What it's saying is, I think maybe it's going to be harder than you expect, or there's something you're going to have to do, figure out for yourself that you're not currently, that you don't know yet, right? Like you're going to have to grow in ways that you can't foresee in order to not end up in this sort of Tower situation. Okay, let me look at the chat, see what I've missed. Okay, so John V, you'll be working, managing foresights and studying for this under this apprenticeship, so that you can take these exams. And so, if I going based on these, it's sort of making me think with justice, like, are you taking on too much? And And then the next thing I think of with the swords is there any way you could cut something down or out in some way so that the whole thing was a little more manageable? And Titha, hello, or Titha, welcome. My name's Will, and I will add you to my list. Yeah, something to think about. It could be that the cards are just kind of trying to warn you, like maybe that it's going to be harder than you're anticipating, so that when you're doing it, you actually will get the outcome that you're hoping for, right? And John V says that it's a course they wanted to do since they were young. That's awesome. John V, I think what I want to do is pull a few more cards because I want to ask, like, is there a change that John V could be making in order to get a better outcome? Like, let's ask that question with 3 more cards. What could John V do in this situation to end up with a better outcome than what the first 3 cards have said? Let's see if there's anything there that might help. Okay, Page of Coins. 6 Cups. And the Lovers. The Lovers, I think, is most likely about making a choice and less about a relationship because of the context of the reading. Like I don't think it's saying get into a new relationship right now, right? Because I don't see how that would help the situation. I think it's more likely to be about making a choice between 2 things, and usually it's a difficult choice, right? The figure in the middle here is trying to figure out what to do, and they're looking back at this person, but this person maybe has caught their interest, and their feet, as you can see, one is pointing forward and one is pointing back, like they can't decide which way to go. And so it's, I think, about choice here. Yeah, no time for that, John V. Yeah, no time to start a relationship on top of everything else that you're doing. I would not recommend that, I don't think. Okay, so we've got the Page of Coins here representing you, I believe. And then if you just look at the way that these 2 figures, I think this is you also in the middle, right, of the Lover card. So with the Page of Coins, we've got someone who is starting something new, as indeed you will be, and is figuring out how to put in the work every day to get it all done. And they're probably really exhausted and they're really tired, but they have a wonder and a passion. What's another word for it? Like they're so absorbed in what they're studying or doing that they don't care that they're exhausted all the time or that they can't pay attention to anything else. It's like they're staring so hard at this valuable little coin or big coin that they don't notice other valuable things in their life, right? There's another coin at the page's feet, but they don't even seem to know it's there, right? They're so focused on this coin that they don't see the other coin down here at their feet. And so that would sort of be something to watch out for. Like if you're so focused, for example, on studying for this course that you've wanted to take since you were a child and you're so excited about it, and that's beautiful and wonderful, but does it mean that you're forgetting about this other coin down here, maybe, which is managing those 4 sites and paying the bills and all of that kind of stuff, right? And so it's almost saying, like, how do you get both coins in the air at once? How do you focus on one coin without losing sight of the other one? The other thing is the 6 of Cups here in the middle. And so with this card, I think of the past and memories. And so you'd said in your message that it's a course you wanted to take since you were young, since you were like a kid. And so this card makes me think of nostalgia. And nostalgia can be great. And also, we have to be careful with it because we want to be careful about getting stuck or caught up in the past, especially if focusing on memories of the past is preventing us from acting appropriately or independently in the present so that we get the future outcome that we want. And so, on the one hand, with this card, I would say, remember how excited you are to study this thing, right? But be careful of focusing on it so much that other things fall to the side and you're not able to focus on other things that are just as valuable, right? Just valuable in a different way. So, the last card again is the Lovers. And it's hard for me to know without sort of getting in your head and knowing what's going on in the context of your life, what this big decision might be. But it's almost like in the same way that the page here has 2 objects, one coin they're focused on and one that they've sort of forgotten about. The lover then is being forced to choose between 2, here they're people rather than objects, right? But it's like either the one from the past or the one from the future. And it does sort of feel like an either or situation. Like both of these things are tugging at this person. And it doesn't seem like they could all 3 go off together and be happy, for example. Like he does seem to kind of be forced into making a choice. Like at some point, I think you're going to have to prioritize one thing or the other. And which doesn't mean you have to give one of them up necessarily, but you are going to have to choose. Like the day will come where you're going to say, I cannot do this one thing because I'm doing this other thing. And you will have to figure out in that moment whether it's the thing from the past, the course, right, that is most important to you, or whether it's the other coin down here on the floor that's most important to you. And that will be a very difficult choice to make. I can't make it for you. You have to make it for yourself when it comes. But knowing in advance that like you can't do it all, and at some point you're going to have to choose, seems like that might help to make this an easier experience, the tower stuff an easier experience. If you just know going into it, like one day I'm going to have to drop the ball, which ball am I going to drop, right? That kind of thing. So let's look at the chat and see here what we've got. Clarissa, welcome. I'll add you to the list. Welcome, everybody. My name is Will, and I'm doing some free live tarot readings today just for fun because I enjoy it. And if you are interested in a reading, you can get one by putting your by typing please add me to the list in all caps in the chat. And if you see the pinned message there, you'll see me explaining that. You're very welcome, John V. I'm glad that this helps maybe to clear things up, and I hope will like prepare you for when that difficult choice comes, that you will sort of know, okay, I knew this was coming, and now I'm going to make my decision, right? It won't make it easy, but it can soften the blow, I think, when you're a little forewarned and you can say, I'm not surprised that I have to make this difficult decision now, right? Okay, so let me see. Drift King, I think you are next on my list. And hi, Vimprum. Yes, I'm doing free readings today. If you just check the pinned message at the top, I'll ask you to type, please add me to the list in all caps one time, and then I'll add you to the list. And folks will have to wait because I'm going in first come, first served order today since they're just free readings. And so, if there are several people ahead of you on the list, there will be a wait. But if you're on the list, I will read for you as long as you're here when I call your name. And if you're not here, I can always add you back if you come back. As long as the list is still open. At a certain point, I'll start winding down. And so at a certain point, I'll close the list because, I can't go forever, right? I'm planning to go for at least a couple hours. But, all right. So is Drift King here? And because I don't think I've said it yet, I'll just say, hi, Drift King. If you would like to subscribe to my channel, then you can see more easily when I will be going live in the future. I've been going live every day this week. And so if you're interested in seeing that, I try to schedule the live streams like a day in advance. But sometimes I'll also just pop on if I feel like it, I've only done that once, but you never know. It could happen more. All right. So Drift King wants to know, will I see Annabelle again this June? And will I make it in the music industry this year? So he sort of got two questions there. And so when I read, I like to go with a really precise question. I think the question is maybe the most important thing, like asking the question the right way. So why don't we take your first question and go with that, and then if you want to get back on the list, I could add you for the second one, but I think we should take it just one at a time so that folks who are waiting don't have to wait super long. So, all right. So we're asking for Drift King or DK, will he see Annabelle again this June? All right. Will Drift King see Annabelle this June? And so I'll shuffle and lay out 3 cards for that. And we're just looking at the month of June. And can I ask you, is this a crush or someone you've dated or just a friend, or like, what's your relationship with Annabelle? All right, let's see what we've got. The Hanged One. A girl you met at the train stop years ago. Okay. So the Hanged One, this is about just kind of hanging around, not moving. It can sometimes mean sacrificing something or giving something up. 8 cups. This I would read as there's lots of people around, but not necessarily Annabelle. Whoops. Oh, but then we've got the lovers popping up again twice in a row here today. It's a lover day, lover's day. So, I mean, my instinct is to say no, but the cards are kind of saying yes because, like, I would read this as you're just kind of hanging around, like maybe waiting for a train. And there's a bunch of people. If you think of each of the cups representing like a person, there's a group of people there. It can also mean a party, this card. Or like any sort of gathering where people are getting together and everybody's holding a cup of something, like drinking something nice. There's a bunch of people. You're hanging around, and notice there's sort of 2 cups in the middle that kind of form a couple. And then the lovers come after that, which would suggest like making a choice, making a decision to like go talk to her or something like that. So, like my rational brain tells me I think it's unlikely, but if I'm actually reading the cards say I think there's like a chance of that, right? Because here you all alone just hanging around, but then there's a bunch of people and it turns into a relationship, right? I always think with the lovers, it's about choosing, doing something, making a decision that puts you in a relationship, right? So I'm gonna say tentatively, yeah. I think that you could run into this person, Annabelle. I think you could run into Annabelle again. If I were trying to read this in a different way, the Hanged, I hesitate to even go down that road because the question you asked was, will I meet her again? And so I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say, according to how the cards are saying it here and now, yeah. I will just tell you, before I flip the lovers over, I was going to say something different. I was going to say you need to give up on thinking about Annabelle because there's lots of fish in the sea. There's all these people, right? But then this flips over and I'm like, oh, one of these could be Annabelle, right? So we'll see. If you do meet her again, I'd love to hear it. Let me know. That would be really cool. Okay, let me look at the chat. See, Annabelle. So, L is the next person on my list. And let me scroll up a bit because, let's see, Clarissa, I've got you down at the list. Jenny, I haven't added you. I'm adding you now, Jenny. And so if folks would like a reading or would like to be added to the list, just check the pinned message at the top. I'm asking you to post just one time in all caps, please add me to the list, just so that as I'm scrolling through, it's easy for me to see who wants to be on the list. So if L is here, I would be happy to do a reading for you. Hello. Hi, Elle. Welcome. I'm just going to shuffle off camera for a moment. And Elle wants cards for their love life. All right. So this is a general reading, it sounds like. And so for that, I think I'm going to switch decks. I'm going to use the Squid Cake Tarot de Marseille for this one. This deck is difficult to shuffle, so I really have to shuffle it off camera, but I'll overhand shuffle on camera so you can see that I'm not like stacking the deck to get particular cards. Okay, and if anyone's just joining us, my name is Will, and I'm doing some free tarot readings today. If you check the pinned message at the top of the chat, you'll see how to get on the list. And so we're reading for LC, who wants to know about their love life. And could I just ask, are you currently single? Ooh, that popped out. Are you currently single? Or are you currently in a relationship? All right. So the one card that popped out, I'm going to use that as the first card of the 9-card spread. Oh, and Elle says there's a storm nearby. If the power goes out, they'll check in later and look for the reading. And they are currently single. Okay, cool. Yeah, and this will be, if your power does go out, this will be up on YouTube once the live stream ends. You'll be able to find the video on my channel. So I'm just over an hour in now. So if you just fast forward to a little over an hour in, you'll be able to see the reading if I lose you. Okay, so we know that Elle is single. We're doing a love reading. We'll think about like the next couple of months, like 1 to 3 months. I think would be a good time limit to place on it. I'm going to use the card that jumped out as the first card of the spread, and I'm going to lay out a total of 9. Because we're doing a general reading and I find this works best. I hope I can get them all in the camera frame. Yeah. No worries. Okay, so I'll flip them over one at a time and then read them in certain combinations. So 4 of coins, that's about stability. That's about holding on to what you have. That's about things kind of probably staying the same. But, you know, let's read it in context with the rest of the cards. 4 of swords. This can be about resting, putting up restrictions. 5 of coins is usually some kind of disruption. The Tower is back again today, folks. And at the center of your spread, Queen of Cups. So that's you, I think. You're the Queen of Cups today. sitting down in a chair with a nice warm latte or cup of tea, something like that, and being being a queen. Two batons, making plans, um, being at a crossroads, we could think. With that ace of coins, a lot of coins showing up today. It's a new potential, new beginning. The Chariot and 10 of batons. All right. So, what I like to do with this spread is look at the center card, and that is telling us the central issue. And so what I would notice here is that the central card is the Queen of Cups. It's the only court card. It's also the only card from the suit of cups. And so that makes me think that you are like someone who is emotionally mature, someone who's patient and understanding, someone who is ready for a meaningful, deep kind of relationship. But are there any other cups around you, like outside of you? They're not there. There is this Chariot, which is not a cups, but is a water card. And so we will get back to that in a moment. But the first thing I'd say is sort of, it's like you're looking around and you're like, all right, I'm ready. It's like, where is he or she, you know, depending, but, and they're not there. Right. And so you're like wondering, I feel like I'm ready for a relationship. Where is this person? And they're not showing up. And so that's kind of the theme of the reading today. So let's look at the corners. Those will give us a little bit of context. And so things seem to kind of be staying the same with the Four of Cups. Like there's stability in your life, I would think, but that can get boring at the same time. Depending on your personality, stability can be great. Like I'm a Taurus, so I love stability. I don't get bored. I like if every day is similar to the one before it, that usually makes me happy, right? But other people are like, oh my God, how do you stand it? That would be so incredibly boring. How do you do it? But we don't only see the 4, we see the 5. And so that's saying like something is coming in here to disrupt the stability, but it's a coin, right? It's not a cup. And so it's something ordinary, something practical. It's like something in your everyday life might be changing, but it doesn't necessarily or really at all indicate the beginning of a new relationship. With the 10 of batons down here, we might think of being kind of stressed out, maybe with work. I always think of work or career stuff when I see batons. And so with the 10, it's like maybe you kind of feel like you're carrying a burden a little bit. And maybe sort of adding to that is some frustration about trouble finding someone to date, right? Trouble finding like a partner or someone to be in a relationship with. Dating is so stressful. I 100%, 120% agree that dating is stressful and time consuming and annoying and exhausting because most dates are like, at best, they're okay. You know, it's like really rare, I feel like, that you go on a date and you're like, oh my God, that was awesome. It's like shopping at Goodwill. Yes, 100%. It's like shopping at Goodwill. Oh my God, that's perfect. With the Ace of Coins down here is the last corner. You know, the 4 corners are all about work and money, right? 4 coins, 5 coins, and the ace, and then 10 down here. And so, I mean, what that would tell me, I think, reading this in a relationship context, is that maybe you are working on changing some ordinary things in your life that would put you in a situation where maybe you'd meet someone, right? Like like an example would be, I I don't know, like if you take the train to work, maybe you take a different train, right? And just by getting on the different train, you're going to meet different people, right? And it's a really ordinary kind of boring thing to do, um, but it's something that you can do, right? That would just be one example. Or like go to a different coffee shop, or when you're getting your coffee in the morning or the afternoon, like just disrupting the monotony by adding something new to the mix. That's sort of what comes to mind there as a kind of theme to maybe get you out of the sort of slump that you're maybe kind of in. And that would maybe be kind of hard, because if you're represented here by the Queen of Cups, it's like you want that deep emotional connection with someone, right? Like you want to share your deepest secrets and feelings with this person, and then here you are like trying to meet someone at a coffee shop, right? Or something like that, and that could be like frustrating, right? Because that's tough, right? So let's look at the columns of the cards. And so we'll read the left column, and that's like the near future, and the middle column is a little further, and then the right is further on. And so the Tower is just sort of hanging out here. And so that makes me think, like, have you had a breakup? If because this could be the past, or it could be the very, very near future, depending on sort of the timeline for this. And I guess when we ask the question, I guess I sort of should have specified a time period, and I don't know that I really did. So, okay, yes, a recent breakup. All right, so this is the recent past, and so that's the Tower situation. And so if you've had a recent breakup, then it seems like you're trying to, and probably doing a pretty good job of finding stability after that. But you're also like feeling like you have to start over, right? And that can be exhausting and frustrating too. With the middle column, the Four of Swords here, this is often about withdrawing a little bit and resting a little bit. So like putting up some restrictions and saying like, oh, I don't know, like I'm not going to check that person's social media, or I'm going to not let myself stay up late scrolling so that I can get better sleep and that'll make me feel better. Or I'm going to do things that will allow me to rest and recover and repair and heal, so that later I will be in a better place to move on, right? Yes, taking a mental break. Exactly. With the swords are about the mind. So 100% that makes sense to me. So then we've got down here the Chariot card. And it's the only other card in this spread with a human figure on it, right? So here you are in the middle, and then here underneath, there's someone in the chariot. And so I wonder if this could be someone that you don't know about, who might be kind of driving into your life. And the reason I say that you wouldn't know about them is because they're appearing in the bottom row. And so I know we're reading the columns now, but when we read the rows, I read the top row is what you're thinking, the middle row is what you're doing, and the bottom row is what you're not really totally aware of. It's sort of underneath, but you can't necessarily see it. You're not looking at it. It's not there for you to see. And so this makes me think there's maybe someone who could be sort of riding into your life. And if that is indeed that this represents a different person, then they would be this card is associated with the zodiac sign of Cancer, the crab. And so they're the kind of person who they also have that like deep need for an emotional connection, and they're intuitive, and they have feelings, and they want a relationship and all of that. But they're like a crab with the really hard shell on the outside. And so if you do meet a person in kind of the near future, like within a couple of months, who doesn't seem like they do have an emotional side to them, maybe just wonder if it's because they have that shell on, right? Like they've got their armor up, but the armor's there to protect them. It doesn't mean there's not like that soft, emotional, relationship oriented personality underneath the armor. It's just that you'd have to sort of get to know them before you'd be able to get to that vulnerable place that they have. And since this card is in the bottom row, I would think this is someone probably you don't know them, or if you do know them, it's somebody that like you're not thinking about in terms of being in a relationship with them, because they like it's someone who is not currently on your radar as a potential like love connection. With the right hand column, we've got more stuff about destabilizing your ordinary everyday life in order to make new connections with others. And then, with the Two of Batons, I think maybe you're making plans. Maybe you're making plans about what you want to see in a future relationship. If you had a breakup back here, and then like what's coming ahead, maybe you're thinking about, well, I know now something that didn't work, right? Because the relationship didn't last. And so maybe you're wondering or planning or thinking about what you would hope to see in your next relationship. If all that dating stuff doesn't get too stressful, like shopping at Goodwill, as you put it. So I think there may be someone there who's like not at all an obvious connection, right? They're not like the Knight of Cups riding in to sweep you off your feet. They're in this chariot with some armor on and maybe some defenses up, but they're down there, I think. And so it will just be a question of like recognizing them when they arrive. Yeah, discernment, 100%. Yep, 100%. So let's see. Let's look at the chat. How does that sound, Elle? Does that resonate? And so Queen Bean, I'm adding you to the list. And Starlight. Okay, so Jasmine would be next if Jasmine is here. Enjoy your weekend too. I hope that storm doesn't mess anything up for you. Okay, so if Jasmine is here, I can do a reading for you. And if anyone is just joining us, my name is Will, and I'm doing some free tarot readings today. You can check out the pinned message at the top of the chat there to see how to get added to the list. And if Jasmine isn't available, then next on my list would be Titha or Titha, Titha, Titha. All right, Titha, you're here. Hi, welcome. If you'd like to put your question in the chat, I will do a reading for you. And if anyone is new here, my name's Will, and I'm doing some free tarot readings. If you like my reading style and are interested in watching future live streams, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel. I schedule the live streams in advance most of the time, so you'll be able to see when I'm live if you're subscribed. All right. So Titha is asking for love reading, and it sounds like we've got a long distance relationship. So I think I'm actually going to stick with the same deck, the Squid Cake deck, for this one. So I'm just shuffling it off camera because it's a hard deck to shuffle. All right. So long distance relationship. We've got Titha in France, and he lives in Australia, and you would love to move to Australia, but seems like that's not an option right now, and so you're wondering what's going to happen. And so are you currently still in a relationship? Just like a long distance relationship? I see. Okay, so you're still in a relationship, but now he's asking for time, and then he's not communicating. He's not talking as much as he was before. So I'll flip them over one at a time, and then we'll read them. High Priestess, Four of Swords, in the same position as last time. Nine Swords. Two coins. The Hermit is at the middle of the spread. So we'll start there. Six Cups. Two Swords. The Moon. Four of Batons. Okay, so I don't think I've ever read for you before, so I'll just tell you that I read the cards as best I can based on what I really see in the cards. I try to do it as compassionately and accurately and nicely as I can, but I don't want to just tell you what I think you want to hear just to make you happy, you know. And then the other thing I'll say is that everything is open to changing, right? This is not set in stone. Everything that I'm going to say could change because everyone has free will, and you could do something different, or he could do something different, or someone we don't even know about could do something different, and that could change the outcome, right, of the whole situation. So Right now, I get the feeling that you're feeling lonely, right? With the Hermit in the middle of the spread, it's like you're by yourself and you're searching for a way to be with him again, right? Because um, you're all sort of on your own. And so that's the main issue of the whole reading, which you already knew that, right? You came to me with this question, but seeing the hermit in the center really reinforces, the hermit is someone who's on their own, right? And they've got this lantern that they're using to sort of light the path in front of them, but they're searching for something, they're looking for something, maybe they're kind of on a quest trying to find something. And it's a challenge, right? So let's look at the corners to give us a little bit more context for the reading. And up here, we've got the High Priestess. And I think this would also represent sort of another aspect of your personality. And so this is someone who's very wise and very knowledgeable, someone who is probably educated. And, she's sitting here reading her book, like getting knowledge into her head, right? And this can also be someone who has a kind of secret knowledge, like she knows something, but she isn't necessarily saying it out loud, right? Maybe because if she does say it out loud, she's afraid she could get hurt, or maybe it's just none of their business, right? And just because we know something doesn't mean that we need to share it. But it makes me think about, like, is there something deep, deep, deep down that that you can't or won't say out loud, right? That's what I think of with the High Priestess. And I wonder if you might be having trouble sleeping. With the Nine of Swords, this can indicate sleep issues. And it's also about anxiety, right? So feeling um, regret or having anxiety and not being able to know what to do about it. All these thoughts bouncing around in your mind, and it's keeping you up at night maybe, and you're like, I don't know what I should do. There's conflict and there's trouble, and it's in your mind and it's in your heart, and it's it bugs you, right? With the Four of Batons, I think of feeling like kind of like you're at a stalemate. Like, how do you move forward? Right? They form kind of an X, and it's like like I did something, they did something, I did something, they did something, and now we're sort of just locked in a stalemate. And how do I move forward? How do I keep it going? And the Two of Swords is about having an impossible choice. Neither of your options look good to you, right? Like, you want to be in a relationship with this person, but there doesn't seem to be a way forward with that right now, moving to Australia. But staying without this person seems like is leaving you unhappy. And so where is the option that makes you happy, right? Neither of the options seem to make you happy. And yet you're kind of stuck choosing between two things that seem really unsatisfying. And so those are the cards that sort of give us the context for the current situation. So what I'd like to do now is read the columns. We'll go left to right, and left is sort of past, and middle is present, and the right is future. So the Two of Coins we've got the two of coins and the two of swords here in this left-hand column. And so twos are about choices. Excuse me. And so it's like you're juggling your options, but neither of them seem to be very good to you. And you're trying to figure out, how can I move forward? How can I do something here? It's like everything's very turbulent. Think about like a juggler, right? Like trying to keep the discs, the balls in the air, all at once, and maybe getting kind of fed up with it or tired about it. And then I go back to the high priestess and think about this idea of secret knowledge, that is there something deep down, do you know that you have an impossible choice to make, and you have to figure out how to bring it up and bring it out into the world, like voice it, say it out loud. So there's a lot of, I think, kind of being quiet and stuck here, right? Moving forward, the Four of Swords, here I think of resting, healing, and I think of putting up restrictions, right? Think about the way that this flower has grown so big and beautifully because it's got these sharp swords around it to protect it from these other little buds or strawberries, whatever they are, from encroaching on its space, right? It's like putting up a restriction, putting up a fence sort of around yourself. And so I guess I'm kind of dancing around something that I'm trying to figure out how to say, because I think that there are some very strong feelings that, if they haven't totally come up yet, they're going to, because the moon card is about really strong emotions that are overwhelming and that are hard to understand and hard to handle, that make you feel confused and fearful and doubtful and uncertain. And, even someone who knows what to do with their emotions, when the moon comes up, it's just like there are hidden forces pulling at you or tugging at you. And it's like you're in a whole other world temporarily, right? And so that is what we've got down here in the bottom and in the middle. And the fact that it's at the bottom of the spread indicates that you're not totally aware of it. So like, and I connect that to the high priestess, where like, I think there's something, maybe just on an emotional level, that's like really buried very deep down inside of you, and you're not yet at a place where you can voice it, but it's there and it's going to start coming out, and you'll have to find a way to eventually to like give voice to it, to express it, in whatever way that you might do that. Because like I think the loneliness you're feeling is going to be unsustainable in the long run, right? Like it can't just go forever. At some point it has to end, right? You'll be able, for a certain period of time, you can keep juggling, right? And you can live with two impossible choices of not being able to be with him in Australia, and having to be separate, but you can't do it forever, right? So eventually, I guess something's got to give, right? The other thing I see over here with the Six of Cups, this card is usually about memories and nostalgia and thinking about the past, right? It's a card about remembering how things used to be, for good or for bad. It can be about childhood, but I think more specifically in your case, given the context of your question, that it's probably more about earlier times in this relationship with this person, right? When you were able to be physically together with one another. And so remembering that and dwelling on that and spending a lot of time on that. And I think that it's um contributing to like the anxiety that you're feeling as well. Um so I have to read what I see in the cards, and um there are some cards I could think of that would make me think of like a journey like to Australia, right? Or that would make me think that you guys are happily together with one another. And I want to emphasize again that none of this is written in stone, and like this could all change if you make different decisions or he makes different decisions or just circumstances change. But like, in order to say something like, I see you living together in Australia, I would want to see, for example, two court cards or two cards with figures on them, like looking at each other, one that seems to represent you and one that seems to represent him. And that would tell me like, they're seeing eye to eye and they're like together, right? Or I would want to see one of the knight cards, like the Knight of Swords can represent a journey by air, like a flight where someone's flying, like you're flying to Australia or something like that. Or maybe, depending on how it showed up, the Lover's card or the Ten of Cups or the Two of Cups. Any of those would tell me like, a resolution here where the two of you are sort of together happily. And I'm not saying that can't happen or won't happen, but I don't see it in these cards, these 9 cards that I pulled out today, um, which I know is probably not what you want to hear, but I read the cards that show up and not what people want to see necessarily. Although when that happens, I'm happy to do that too. So I think what I'd say to you is focus on doing your best to get through the current emotionally difficult situation that you're in, because I think it is taking a toll on you. And I think that you may not even be 100% aware of how much it's affecting you emotionally. And I say that again because of the moon being way down here at the bottom of the spread, indicating confusion and fear and all of that to an extent. And even it can mean depression too. And because it's at the bottom, it's like it's the foundation of the situation, but you're not always 100% aware of it. Whereas you do seem to be really aware up here of the fact that I wonder about what it is maybe that that you're not saying, if not to me, but to him, right? And that there's restrictions on you, right? That you can't see him and that you've got anxiety, right? That it's the whole situation is really causing you a lot of anxiety. So even though I know it's probably not everything that you wanted to hear, what do you think? Does that give you at all a clearer sense of the situation, I guess, right now? And while you're looking at that, I'll just check the chat. And Clarissa would be next if Clarissa's still here. Okay. And so if anyone is just joining us, my name is Will, and I'm doing some free tarot readings. If you're interested in being added to the list, check the pinned chat message at the top of the chat. I just ask you to type, please add me to the list in all caps so that I can easily scroll through and find it. And if there's any questions, just check that pinned message at the top. And Clarissa's here. Yay. Hi, Clarissa. So, Tifa, I'm glad that you, that this reading resonated. It sounded like I wish you all the best with your long distance relationship. I have also been in a long distance relationship in my past. And so I feel for you. I know how impossibly hard they can be. So, do your best to hang in there, and I hope for the best possible outcome. And I will add I Speak My Truth to the list because I see you on there. And Clarissa, if you'd like to post your question, I can do a reading for you. And welcome to anyone who might be joining. My name's Will. I'm doing some free tarot readings. If you're interested in a reading, check the pinned message in the chat. And for those of you watching, if you enjoy my readings, if you like my reading style, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel so that you'll be able to see when I'm live in the future. And Clarissa would like a general or love reading, whatever I feel guided to do. Okay. So I think what I'll do is use the same deck, the Squid Cake, and we'll just do a general reading. And if love cards come up, then we'll take it that direction. But if other things come up, then we'll take it a different direction. Okay, I'm just finishing shuffling off camera. All right, we're going to do a general reading for Clarissa. Let's put like a, let's see, should we do a 1 month? Why don't we do, let's do within a couple months. Let's do like a 1 to 3 months. Let's just put a 1 to 3 month timer on the reading so that I like to do that so that if timing questions come up, like when is it going to happen, then we can say, well, we decided at the beginning it was like no more than 3 months, right? So, all right. Okay, here we go. I'll flip the cards over one at a time. And Four of Batons, 9 coins, 7 cups, 9 cups. The lovers are at the center of the spread, so looks like you're getting a love reading after all. 8 swords. The world. 10 batons. And the fool. Okay, so you'd asked for a general or a love reading, and we said general, and the center card that popped up is the lovers, and so I can't help but think that we're doing a love reading here, something to do with relationships. So I assume you're single. I guess I didn't ask that, but most people who ask for a love reading are single. So I'm assuming that's true. If I'm wrong, please let me know so that I don't make the wrong assumptions here. But let's look at the corner cards first, and then we will get some context from that and move forward and see what we see. So, Four of Batons, there's two ways we could take this. This can mean a stalemate. I've read it as a stalemate today, but it can, like feeling like you've sort of gone as far as you can with something and now you don't know how to keep going with it, like sort of stuck a little bit. It can also mean a break to celebrate. So it's possible that you've had something recently like a success or a graduation or a birthday or something where you've been able to sort of celebrate with some other folks. The Seven of Cups can mean that you're feeling lots of choices in front of you, but you're not sure which is the right one to take. And it can also mean that you might be the kind of person who feels very unique and can kind of sometimes feel a little bit like maybe ostracized or like a weirdo a little bit. If you look at the way that the center card, the center cup is sort of on its own in the middle, and there's all these other cups and they're sort of around it, but this one's sort of bracketed off by the foliage here. And so it's sort of like it's different. This one's different from the rest of them, right? It's sort of in the middle and it has a different identity than the rest of than the cups on the card, right? And so maybe you feel a little bit like you have your own personality and other people don't always get you, right? That kind of thing. With the Fool down here, it makes me think of starting off on a new project or journey. Like this person is walking forward off to do something that they probably haven't done before, and they're excited about it and maybe also a little bit naive because there's this squid tentacle that's grabbed them and they're probably going to trip and fall when they take their next step, but they're looking up into the sky and they've got their walking stick and they're ready to go and they're having a good time and they're sort of not paying attention to what could go wrong, right? And then the world, this is about it's funny seeing these because this is the last card of the major arcana. This is about resolution, completion, the end of one cycle so that the next thing can begin. And this one is about taking the first step towards doing something else. So if we're talking about relationships, um, it could be that you've ended one relationship, although if the world is indicating ending of a relationship, I think it would mean you ended on pretty good terms, if that's what this means. And then getting ready for a new one, but maybe in a little bit of like maybe not totally seeing everything 100% clearly for what it really is. Okay, so those gives us some ideas for context for the reading. And so what we'll do next is read the columns from top to bottom. We'll read them vertically here. And so the Nine of Cups would make me think that even though you clearly want to be in a relationship, that you're probably pretty happy and satisfied with things as they are right now. The Nine of Cups is a whole lot of cups, and cups nourish us and make us feel good, and they are about happiness and fulfillment, and they hold water that keeps us alive, and they hold wine that makes us feel good, and all of that. And so 9 is a lot to have, and they're very neatly organized and ordered up. And so it makes me think that even though you want to be in a relationship, like you've sort of got your stuff together. You're not like desperate or anything like that, right? Like you're looking for a relationship so that you can grow and improve, not because you have to be with someone, right? And so this would make me think of someone who's like, things are pretty good, but maybe they could be a little lonely. Like they do maybe feel like something is missing, but, overall, 9 cups are pretty good to have. They just might feel a little bit like stuck, like there's a stalemate, and they're like, how do I get one more cup? How do I get to my perfect 10 of cups kind of situation, right? In the middle, we've got 9 coins. So the fact that you've got the 9 cups and the 9 coins, both the 9 cards tend to be about independence and that you're doing really well on your own, right? And so 9 cups would mean you're really doing really well emotionally on your own. 9 coins would mean you're doing really well materially on your own, right? Like I think of somebody here who, like if you're working, you're probably good at your job and motivated by it, and you're able to like buy the stuff you need. And if it's not directly about money and a job, it can mean that like you're good at managing your time. It can mean that you're good at investing your energy in the right ways, like not just wasting time, but you feel like you're spending your time and your energy in ways that make sense to you and that you can be proud of and all of that. And you're down here getting ready to try to meet someone in a relationship. So, a couple ways I could take this. I'm just going to sort of pause on this card a moment. I'm seeing the way that there are 3 cards in this spread which include human figures, and it's the World, the Lovers, and the Fool, and they make kind of a triangle, right? And so earlier I'd read the Fool as representing you, and to some extent that could still be true. But looking over it again, I'm wondering if it might make more sense to locate you in the World and the Fool maybe in this person who's coming up as a love interest, right? And I say that because of sort of the triangle shape that they form and the 3 people that we've got here. So, and I also say that because with the 9 of coins and the 9 of cups, it's like you've got everything together, you're elevated, you're like, the world card is like a perfect vision of happiness, right? And so here you are being your wonderful self, right? And then I wonder if kind of a fool kind of character might come along. So let's just for a moment go back to the fool for a second and talk about the fool in the event that they're representing someone you're going to meet who could be a potential love interest. Okay. And so the fool doesn't necessarily mean a fool. That's the first thing to know. It doesn't necessarily mean it's somebody who's foolish. It does mean it's somebody who's probably um, in a subordinate position in life, right? Like this isn't someone who's the big boss at work, right? This is someone who's setting off on a new path in life. Like they're still trying to figure things out. They make mistakes sometimes. They can be a little immature sometimes. They don't always see the bad things that can happen in life because they're kind of new. But they also probably have an incredibly attractive sense of wonder and youth, a youthfulness for the world. They're not like jaded and tired and cranky and all of that stuff like that people can get once they've sort of been through a lot of stuff in life. This person is like, no, things are great. Let's go. I'm happy. Right. It can also mean someone who's very funny, like a comedian, even like someone who has a good sense of humor and all of that. If you think of like a court jester kind of person, that can be a fool kind of character as well. And so I do wonder though if this person maybe won't have their life as together as yours seems to be. If the 9 of coins and the 9 of cups are saying anything, like I don't think this person has 9 coins and 9 cups necessarily, right? But I think with all of the major arcana cards, these are lessons that we have to learn in our lifetimes. And so I think you could maybe learn something from interactions with this fool person who might be coming up to you. Okay, so the other thing to consider, to go back to reading our middle row, is the 10 of batons that we've got here. And so this can mean that you might feel kind of overburdened by the relationship. It can also mean it's going to be very fiery and passionate, which can be a lot of fun, right? As long as you don't burn out. It can also be about loyalty and like learning to carry the burden together with one another. The right hand column together with one another. The right hand column, the card we haven't really looked at yet is this 8 of Swords. And there aren't any other swords in this spread, so it's worth looking at. But the thing I would think, and swords are always tough because swords are like a sword is a weapon, right? It's about the mind, certainly, but can also be about something that could hurt you, right? And with the 8 of Swords, I think about being kind of feeling like you need to be kind of defensive, right? If you think about the way that this itty bitty flower here is sort of hiding themselves between all these swords, amongst all of these swords, in order to sort of feel like they need to keep themselves safe. And so the fact that that card is above the Fool makes me think, even though there might be some very fiery and fun times with this comical person, you might also find that you need to protect yourself a little bit, because if they are kind of foolish sometimes, you wouldn't want to end up in a situation where their foolishness is hurting you, right? If they're kind of naive or not always making good decisions, you wouldn't want to get yourself hurt from that, right? So, welcome to anyone who's just joined. My name is Will, and I'm doing some free tarot readings today. And Clarissa, what do you think? Do you think there could be a fool figure coming up in your life? That's what the cards are suggesting. And so the next person I have on my list would be Jenny, if Jenny is here. And Jasmine, I skipped you. If Jasmine is here, I can still do a reading for Jasmine. And I think that for the moment, I'm going to pause adding people to the list. I might reopen it, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Yeah, so Clarissa, with the Lovers card, it can sometimes mean a love triangle. I usually think of when the Devil card shows up, that's when I really think like there's a third person involved. Because with the Lovers here, I only see, if I'm thinking about like which cards sort of have people on them. And I mean, I guess if you looked at like these as people, then maybe, but I would want to see like another court card or another major arcana. Like if over here we had like the Knight of Swords or something, then I would think, oh, it's like it's like literally a love triangle, right? So, the cards are always open to interpretation, but that I don't get that super strong here. But good. Okay, I'm glad you loved it. Oh, cool. Yeah, you're a Virgo. So, how perfect the cups were aligned. Yeah, they are. They are very organized. All right. So, let's see. Have we got? Let's see. Jenny would be next, and if Jenny's not here, then Queen Bean is next. If Queen Bean is here. You're very welcome. And if Queen Bean isn't here, then Starlight would be next on the list, if Starlight's here. And I'm just checking through. Let's see. Ari, I see that you've asked a few times to be added to the list. I think I will add a few more people. Oh, good. Starlight's here. So Ari, I can add you if you'll just type, please add me to the list in all caps, then I will add you. And same for Doc Priya. Just check the pinned message at the top. Oh, and the New Paradigm. I see you. I will add you now. All right, so Starlight wants to know, will Brian come back? And if so, how will our relationship be? So I'm going to use the Conver Ben Dove deck. And I'm going to start by pulling 3 cards to answer the first question, will Brian come back? And then depending on the answer we get there, we'll see where it takes us. So I'm just shuffling that deck off camera for a moment. And if anyone new is joining us, my name is Will. I've been doing free readings today. If you're interested, check the pinned message at the top of the chat. I'm probably going to go for about another hour, I'm thinking. And so I don't want my list to get too long because I find it takes an average of about 15 minutes. Okay, so Starlight, will Brian come back? So this sounds like you were in a relationship with Brian and then the two of you broke up, and sounds like you want him back, but you are wondering if that's going to happen or not. So let's pull 3 cards. Will Brian come back? And just so folks know, in case you're new here, I read the cards as best I am capable of based on what I really see. I don't tell you what you want to hear. I try to be kind and compassionate and but also like honest for what I see. And also everything that we see today can change because someone else could make a different decision, or you could make a different decision, or circumstances that we don't even know about could intervene and change things. Also, the very act of doing the reading can change things as well, right? Like if I say, no, this is not going to happen, and you're like, well, that's unacceptable, it has to, you might get a fire under you and do something that totally changes the future course of events, right? So, all right, so 3 cards to see for Starlight. Will Brian come back? Four cups. And so 4 cups, 4s are about stability, structure, and usually about things staying the same as they currently are. Justice. This can mean taking responsibility. It can also mean making a very wise but slow decision. And the Ace of Wands, this is about a new beginning. This is about a spark, like a spark of fire, something starting to burn. So the cards don't show someone actually like coming back, like moving back, right? Um, but what they do show is first emotional sort of stagnation, right? Like the way things are is it seems like they're just going to stay this way. But someone making Brian making a very slow decision, right? Think about how slowly the court system or the justice system moves, right? It takes forever for anything to happen. But then a spark. And so I always think of like rekindling an old flame, right? That kind of thing. And so I mean it's kind of saying I think maybe yes, right? That he's going to feel that spark again after a very long time that earlier seemed like it had gone out, right? If you think about cups are water and wands are fire. And so it's like the fire went out, it's all water over here, and it's four. So it's like fours can be boring or apathetic or it can just mean stable, right? If we were in a, if you'd ask like, is our happy relationship going to continue for a while? And we got the Four of Cups, and I'd say yes. But if you're currently not in a relationship, then Four of Cups would mean that situation is most likely to stay the same. But then with thinking about it and time passing, a spark sort of reigniting seems to be here on the table. So let me look at the chat. So Bill Bonnie, I see your name. I can add you. And Starlight says he is dealing with a slow court situation is what he said. We are not due to a court situation. Yeah. So then it could be after the court situation is resolved, the legal system, the legal question, then a spark would remain, right? Or remain or come back, right? But with this card, just remember, like, this is a slow card. It takes a long time for the justice system to do anything and for the sort of the right decision to be made. But seeing the spark here means like some passion, right? This potential for something new and passionate to light up again. So yeah, I mean, that's what I see. Okay, that's exactly what he said. He has to take care of that first. That sounds right. Things are going to continue as they are now, but when this is over, there's a spark there, right? That could potentially grow into something else. So sounds like this resonates. Sounds like this is kind of confirming, I guess, maybe what he's already told you, that, it corroborates that like what he said is true. So, oh yes. So how will the relationship be? Okay, so let's pull three more and say, if or when this court case ends and there's this spark between the two of them, then like what could potentially come from that? The star, that's hopefulness. Optimism, ooh, but it's okay. It's next to the tower. Number 17, number 16, they're like out of order. And the Queen of Cups. So, in the order of the major arcana, Number 16, the Tower, comes first, and then the Star is number 17. It comes immediately after it because the Tower is about destruction, things falling apart, these things falling down, a major transition in life. The Tower like collapses, right? And so then the Star comes along and says, but there's hope, right? Everything's going to be okay. But in this string of 3 cards, they're reversed, as though you've got the hope everything's going to be okay, but then like the Tower falls anyway, right? And so leaving you kind of on your own here. Right? It's like you're here being hopeful and optimistic that it's going to work out, but then it kind of falls apart. And then here you are sort of on your own. So how will the relationship be? Hopeful, but with some pretty turbulent stuff in the middle of it that will be tough to deal with. A best case scenario for this card would be it's just a major transition that people have to go through before they can figure things out, right? Like ordinary day-to-day routines have to change. You have to figure out how to live with each other or just how to like be around each other. And that's tough to do, but you can do it. And once the Tower falls and you get through all the friction, then you can rebuild something, right? That's like the best case scenario with the Tower card. With the Queen of Cups showing up here, I think to represent you, I would think this is someone who's incredibly emotionally sensitive and empathic, and you're able to feel and understand not only your own emotions, but other people's emotions too. And that's your strength, but it can also be a weakness because you feel things so deeply that you can get hurt if you're not careful. And so the Queen of Cups is the only Cups court card who has a lid on her cup. If you see the way that her cup, see like these cups, they don't have a lid, right? They're open. Her cup has this rounded lid on top of it. So she knows that when she needs to, she can kind of put a lid on things, right? And sometimes she has to do that because if she feels all of her own feelings and also feels other people's feelings, it can be way too much for her. And so sometimes she has to like put a lid on it and say, even though I am capable of sympathizing with you, I'm not letting myself do that because I'm wise enough and I've learned enough in my life to know that sometimes I have to close off that part of myself for my own health and well-being, right? And so I see her staring at the Tower situation where things are falling apart and saying like, I don't know if I can handle all of this right now. I might need to put the lid on my cup so that I don't totally like lose myself, right? So it won't be all sunshine and roses, right? If I saw like the Sun card or the Lovers, right? Those would be good cards to see where everything's happy and easy. This I don't think will be easy. I think if you're hopeful and feel guided towards one another and you feel like it's a very important relationship and you're willing to be vulnerable and all of that, but the Tower is like both of these people are falling out of the Tower. It's not like just one of them falls. They're falling together. And so like getting hurt, right? If you fall out of a tower that's crumbling, it's dangerous, right? You could get hurt. And so maybe one way of protecting yourself a bit would be metaphorically putting the lid on your cup so that you're not just totally opening up yourself to emotional vulnerability, right? So, how does that sound, Starlight? Does that seem plausible with what you know? Ah, okay. He has a lot of mental illness, it sounds like. Yeah. So, yeah, it's there's that's tough. What I think of when I see the Queen of Cups is I think about that idea of like if you're in the airplane and something goes terribly wrong and the oxygen masks drop from the ceiling in the airplane, you're like you have to put your own mask on first, right? Like save yourself first, like put the lid on your cup first. Make sure you're okay before you can help others because if you don't, you might pass out and be laying on the floor and then you can't help anybody, right? So um, that would be a bit of advice I'd say is like make sure you are okay, not just that the people around you are okay. Yeah, and worst case scenario, you're still the queen. Exactly, exactly. I also think about the way that if we think here of the star is a nude figure not wearing any clothes and being like totally open and totally vulnerable and totally just like I'm here, right? But the queen's like, no, I better put some clothes on, right? She's like, I don't have to be totally open and vulnerable all the time. I can be sympathetic and empathetic when it's appropriate to an extent as long as it's like good for myself, but I don't have to be totally open and vulnerable all the time, right? Okay, let me check my list here. I think the next I have is I Speak My Truth. If I Speak My Truth is still here. And if anyone is joining us, my name is Will, and I'm doing some free tarot readings. Today, I may or may not be able to get to more folks on the list, but if you subscribe to the channel, you'll be able to see when I am live streaming in the future. I try to schedule them the day before so that people can know in advance when I'll be on, and I might also just jump on with no pre-scheduled plans if I feel like it. And you're welcome, Starlight. I wish you all the best with this relationship. So if I Speak My Truth is here, you're next. And then after you, if you're not here, then The New Paradigm is next. We've also got Jasmine and Jenny and Queen Bean. I skipped over you earlier. If you are here, I can read for you. And so I'm just going to shuffle off camera for a moment. If anyone is new, my name is Will. I'm doing some free tarot readings. I may reopen the list depending on if other folks who are already on the list are currently here or not. My plan is to go for probably another half an hour. So that's probably 2 or 3 more readings. Okay, so if I Speak My Truth is not here and The New Paradigm is not here, is Bilbani. Bilbani. Oh, The New Paradigm is here. Cool. Hi, The New Paradigm. If you post your question, I will give you a reading. So I'll do the new paradigm, and then I'll do Bilbani. And then we'll see what time it is. Hi, Kyle. What do I need to know in general? Okay, so a general reading. Ari, I didn't see you post in all caps that you wanted to be on the list, but I will read for you if I have time. So, Kyle, I will do a general reading for you, and I'll use the Squid Cake Tarot de Marseille deck that I've used a few times today. For a general reading, I like to do a 9-card box spread, or sometimes called a portrait spread. So I'm just shuffling that deck. Okay, so we're going to read for Kyle. We're doing a general reading for Kyle from Australia. We're going to lay out 9 cards. The center card will give us the central concern. The corners give us context. The columns set up a kind of timeline. And then if we read the rows, that will give us some more information. So let's see what we've got here for Kyle. Okay, so I'll flip these over one at a time and then we'll read them. The Chariot, Temperance, 7 Swords, Strategizing, Queen of Swords, someone judgy in your life, 2 Batons. Okay, so making plans for the future is the central card. It could be that there's a big choice that you're facing at the moment. You don't know if you should go this way or that way. And simultaneously, it can mean making plans, like getting ready to go out into the world to do something, but you haven't taken that first big step yet. 3 of Coins, working with others. 4 of Batons, maybe feeling like you're at a stalemate. 6 of Swords, moving on, but maybe with some emotional baggage. And 8 of Cups, which could mean moving on again, but in a more emotionally mature way, or that there's lots of people involved. Okay, so my first question or observation is that there's a big choice that you're trying to figure out or will be having to make soon that has to do with sort of plans you're making coming up for you, right? And if I don't know anything else about the context with the Batons, I think of like career, but it depends, right? Because if the context changes, then these Batons can sometimes mean different things. But Batons refer to fire, they correspond to fire. And so with batons, I'm always thinking about something that you're passionate about, something that lights a fire under you, something that like the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning. Like, if you were thinking of going back to school because you really want to study, oh, I don't know, anthropology or something, right? Then this would mean like you're thinking really hard about planning for how you could like make that happen, right? But it's the kind of thing where you haven't done it yet. You're like in the preparation area, but you haven't gotten started. It could also just be like a project at work, right? Maybe there's a project at work that you're making plans for. Um, with batons, I also think about travel, right? So maybe making plans to travel. That would make sense as well. Okay, so the new paradigm says, yeah, I think I have to make some big choices. I voice type, so I might take a while for my answers. Oh, no worries. But I want to take YouTube more seriously and just my creative side as well. Yeah, well, wands would also be creative stuff, like building something creative. So this could mean making plans for YouTube, if that's what's like on the horizon for you. So let's look at the corners, and the corners can give us some more context. And so with the Chariot, I think about someone who is moving forward, right? Someone who's like taking active measures to be successful in life, right? This is someone who's already done their planning, and now they're like in the car driving on the trip, that kind of thing, right? Um, the thing about the Chariot is they're not actually holding the reins. And in this card, usually they're horses, right, or sphinxes. In this card, they're sort of these cute little snails. But if you see, there are reins to sort of steer, but the figure doesn't actually hold onto them. And so there is a certain sense with the Chariot that, like, all right, I'm ready to go. Let's do it. But I don't have the reins. Like, how do I steer this thing, right? How do I make it go the direction I want it to go instead of sort of just letting the snails or horses go wherever they decide that they want it to go? So I think there's this great sense of like wanting to accomplish something, but also maybe feeling like, how do I do that? Right. With the Seven of Swords, I think of strategizing. I think of planning, being cunning, thinking things out, gathering information, doing things maybe kind of secretively in order to figure out uh, how you can get the best possible results, and also other people looking at you and not understanding you, right? Not like looking at you and being like, why do you do that? Why are you that way? Being a little bit maybe of an outcast where um, people like just don't totally get you. Like you don't always feel like you're part of the group, right? You feel maybe kind of on the sidelines sometimes. And that would make sense with the Seven of Swords. With the Eight of Cups, this can mean that you feel like there is a situation that is stable, like it's okay, but it's kind of unfulfilling. It's lacking something, it's missing something, it's not everything it's cracked up to be. And you're getting the feeling like, I need to move on from this. Is it bad for me? Is it painful? Not necessarily. It's okay. But is it everything that you'd hoped it would be? No. And so this is like giving the feeling of, okay, well, you want more out of life. And so you have to move on. And that can be tough. So it's like starting something new with the hope of it being better than your current situation, right? But also a little bit of the sense of like, is it going to be better? I'm not sure. Like, what if I end up just wandering around out there and I don't actually get, something better than I had in the past? And then with the Four of Batons in the lower left corner, this is, I think, in your case, it can be about taking a break to celebrate something, but it can also mean feeling like you're at a stalemate. Like you've sort of built things up as much as you can, and now you're like, how do I keep going with it? It's like stable, but it's not good enough. It's that kind of thing that I was thinking with the Eight of Cups too, where it's like, how do I make it even better? How do I have a breakthrough to improve beyond this, like, okay, ordinary, like good enough, but not great kind of situation that I was in before? So I think there's a big sense of like wanting to move forward, but not certain about how to do it. Maybe feeling a little bit like I need more information and or I'm kind of an outcast and wanting to um, make some changes in life so that you feel more fulfilled and so that you don't feel like kind of at a stalemate, right? So, those are my initial thoughts, and we can fill this in if we just look at the columns of the cards. And so, I'll start with the left, and then we'll move towards the right. And so, I wonder who this Queen of Swords is, because this would usually represent a person. It could also just represent the personality of a kind of situation, but I really tend to read these cards as representing actually existing people. I don't necessarily assign gender to them. You know, it's the Queen of Swords, but I do think it could be a person of any gender. But I wonder if there's someone in your life from like the recent past who's tends to be, this would be someone who's like kind of judgmental, who maybe thinks they know what's best for you, who maybe tells you what to do, or makes comments that maybe they're not trying to be annoying or upsetting, but that are, or that can be annoying and upsetting. It's someone who's intelligent and who's good at communicating, usually, but can be like picky or overly judgmental sometimes. And so I wonder like who this person could be. And so it could be you. I don't think it is. Um but this person, someone with some kind of characteristic like that, is in the recent past and maybe still in the present, like influencing the situation right now. And um, they might be kind of encouraging you to go off and do your successful thing. I say that because they're underneath the chariot, almost like they're the foundation of the chariot. Like they're saying, I'm going to I'm trying to encourage you or tell you like how you can drive off in your metaphorical chariot, but it might come across as them being judgy, or the comments might seem kind of annoying, even though maybe they mean well. Like I would hope that they mean well. Um, so I let's move on to the middle column because I need more context to know sort of how else to fit the Queen of Swords in. But in the middle column, we've got Temperance. And so Temperance, this card can mean that you are healing from something. The 13th card of the Major Arcana is the Death card, and then 14, Temperance, comes right after it. And it's so like there's been a big change, and now you're moving on from that. You're recovering from that. But the other thing I often think with Temperance is the way that the figure is sort of pouring water, or in this case, it's coffee, like back and forth from one cup to the next. And it makes me think of like they're not moving forward. They're just sort of pouring it here, and then they are pouring it there, and then they're pouring it here. And it's just like back and forth, hemming and hawing, but not like, go water some plants or drink the coffee, or, like like do something other than just pour it back and forth. And so there could be a sense that, well, right now you need to stay where you're at and sort of pour things back and forth, because if there's some like healing that needs to be done, but at a certain point, um, you'd want to, move on from that. Like once you feel like you've sort of poured your coffee back and forth enough, like it's time to drink it, get some energy, and then go on and do something. And so that makes sense with the two of wands that are crossing here, of like making a choice and thinking about what could I do and how can I make plans for the future. And so there's a lot of this feeling of like wanting to move forward with the chariot, but not actually doing it yet, just sort of still in the planning and the thinking kind of phase. With the Six of Swords, there is a sense of needing to adapt yourself to probably difficult circumstances, right? Like think about a flower that manages to grow up in like a parking lot, right? Um, it's kind of amazing that it's able to accomplish that at all. And it probably had to deal with some pretty tough things to survive, right? So with Six of Swords, I always think of adapting to your circumstances, whatever those circumstances might be. And then with the furthest right column, we talked about the Seven of Swords. We didn't talk about the Three of Cups. And so let's talk, coins, Three of Coins. The Three of Coins can be about collaborating with others to produce something good. That's kind of the traditional reading of the card. But it can also just mean producing a good product. And because I think you had mentioned YouTube earlier. And so the Three of Coins, it makes me think of the little coins make me think of buttons that you can push, or they make me think of like film reel spools, which I know now it's all digital, right? But I'm thinking of like, it's making me think of recording videos. And with the Three of Coins, it's like producing something that's pretty good, right? It's not yet a 10 of coins where it's like you have this huge legacy that you're leaving behind. But the Three of Coins is about, threes are always about growth, I think, or they can also be about expression, like expressing something. But here I would think like beginning to grow. So no longer planning. Here we have planning, right? Two of Batons is planning, getting ready to do it. Three of Coins is like now you're doing it, right? And you're producing something. Whether or not it grows into like a 10 coins kind of situation is not totally clear yet, right? There's enough uncertainty still that I don't think we can know that far ahead. But seeing it with the Eight of Cups and the Seven of Swords makes me think you're taking some unique perspective that you have and that other people think is weird, right? And you're using that to produce something that other people could find valuable. And it's going to be something that's more, potentially more fulfilling than whatever you've got going on now. And I would think that because of the Eight of Cups. Okay, so let me look at the chat. So, let's see. New Paradigm says yes or yeah. Okay, cool. Let me know, New Paradigm, if you have like any follow-up questions, or if this, like I know we didn't really get to figure out exactly who this Queen of Swords person is, but maybe and you don't necessarily have to tell us if you don't, if you don't need to. But like if you have follow-up questions or if something I said was unclear, I'd be happy to try to clarify it. And so let me, excuse me, let me tell you all where we're at with the list. So I am getting near the end of the live stream. I'm 2 hours and 45 minutes and my voice is getting tired. Bill Bonnie is next. That is correct. And then I think I had said that I would read for Ari if Ari is still here. Good. Okay. You know what I mean. The new paradigm says. I speak my truth. I think I'd skipped over you, but if you're here now and can wait to the end, or can wait, I can still read for you. But I am going to have to close the list because I have to have dinner where I am. It's about dinner time, and I have to go take care of it and fix it and all of that. But if I was not able to read for you today, please consider subscribing to the channel so that you'll see when I will be doing live streams in the future. And if I was able to read for you today and you enjoyed it and would like to have me read for you again, also please subscribe to the channel so that you'll know when I'm on. So Bill Bonnie, if you would like to post your question, I can do a reading for you. Okay, will I get a new job in the middle of the year? Oh, and so before I clean this up, New Paradigm says, not sure who the Queen of Swords is. So let's talk about that just for a quick second. So if it's not ringing a bell that it's some other person in your life, it could be that it's you. And in that case, I would ask or wonder if maybe you are judging yourself too harshly. Like maybe this isn't another person, maybe this is the little voice inside of your head that says, you can't do that, you're not good enough, why would you say that, why did you think that, why did you do that? The kind of person who like sits on her throne and has her little sword and just like pokes at you all day, right? And is like, remember that time when you said that silly thing in front of people and they laughed, right? Like, why'd you do that, right? And just like that part of your brain that sort of throws throws like annoying memories from your past at you or questions what you're doing right now. You know, it's that like inner judge, inner critic. It could be that's an aspect of your own personality rather than an actual different person in your life. Okay, so we are going to read for Bill Bonnie. And so it sounds like we're asking about a job in the middle of the year. So let's put a 3-month time on it. You're very welcome. Let's put a 3-month time limit on it. So let's say June, July, by the end of August. Will Bill Bonnie get a new job by the end of August? And so for that question, I want to use my Konverbin Dove deck. So I'm just going to shuffle the deck a few times, and it's faster if I do it off the table, off camera. Okay, so we will pull three cards. And for a new job, we are hoping an ace would be really great to see. Uh, Chariot would be good to see. Maybe a three of coins. That's collaborating with others, working with others. But let's see what we get. We'll pull three cards, and we're talking about for about the next 3 months for Bill Bonney. Okay, 5 cups. 8 cups. Oh, and the world. So the 5 of cups can mean cups are about happiness, fulfillment, can be relationships, emotions, feelings, that kind of thing. 5 can mean that there's a change or a disruption in your feelings. Maybe you feel disappointed. Maybe you feel um, depressed. Sometimes can come from that, although that's more the moon card. 5 of cups, I would think like you feel like you've lost something and you're trying to figure out how to move on to the next good thing, right? So disappointment. It can also refer to links with other people, right? So like maybe you're talking to some acquaintances and asking them like, hey, do you know about any jobs that I might be able to apply for that might be good for me, that might make sense for me? With the 8 of cups, I want to point out we see an increase of cups, right? More cups. First we have 5, then we have 8. And so that's good. We want to see that because cups makes us happy and we want to see cups. And yours are increasing at like a moderate pace, 5 to 8. And so with the 8, we could think about lots of people being involved, right? More people than before. Or we can think with this card that you've been searching for a better situation than you've had in the past, and you've been looking for it and you weren't sure you're going to find it. And maybe you felt like you were just wandering around trying to find a place for yourself, searching for a job, and you can't find it anywhere. The world is a very optimistic card to see at the end of a string of cards like this, because the world means everything sort of comes together, right? Everything joins up. All these disparate elements that don't really fit together have come together, and everything lines up, and there's an end of one cycle, right? This is the last card, number 21 of the Major Arcana. So it's the end of one journey, ready to begin the new one. So this is about completion and fulfillment and resolution. And so I would read this as a yes, because we've got disappointment turning into a search for something better and ending with completion and fulfillment and um, usually happy feelings, right? Coming together, like everybody's looking at the figure in the center because they're so happy that this figure has sort of raised themselves up above their current circumstances. So, what do you think of that, Bill Bonney? Does that I'd be inclined to be hopeful that there will be something that's more emotionally fulfilling for you, and it sounds like, given the context, that that would be a um, a new job. and hi, Preeti. I don't have the list open at the moment. If you check the pinned chat message earlier in the day, I was adding people to the list, but I'm getting towards the end of the readings now, the live stream now, because I've been going for almost 3 hours. And yeah, Bill Bonnie, I'd say it's really positive. Yeah, I mean, I would say, okay, with career and job readings, people usually want to see money, right? So they want to see coins cards, and instead we're getting cups cards, but I still think it's positive because they're increasing, and ending with the world is a really good thing. So I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic. Okay, so I speak my truth. Are you here? Cool, that was quick. What healing message does Spirit want you to know? Okay. Let me shuffle these and I will pull some cards for you. Yeah, better salary was always nice. I think everybody wants. With the cups, though, especially, I would think like, you feel like it's a situation that's more fulfilling. And for different people, that means different things. It can mean like it's just a better work environment. It can mean a better salary. It can mean more time off, like it means different things to different people. Okay. I speak my truth is asking for a healing message. Let's lay out 3 cards and see what we get. And then hopefully it will be a healing message. And if we have to pull more cards, we will. But for a question like this, I would hope to be able to get a precise answer in 3 cards. So let's see. The Magician. So the Magician is about manifesting what you want to have or do or be in the world. It's someone who can sort of do magic, right? Someone who can gather up the tools and the resources that they need, and who can find a way of turning them into something good that they want, even when it looks like maybe it shouldn't be possible. If you look, for example, the table only has 3 legs and it sort of goes off, and then where's the 4th leg, right? Like, why doesn't the table fall over? Well, because the magician doesn't want it to, and so it stays up, even though maybe it shouldn't. 3 wands, that's about finding a new direction. in life, right? So I think about two wands forming an X, which could be someone saying, no, you can't do this, you can't go here. Or it could be about like two converging paths. You can go this way or you can go that way. But the third wand says, nope, I'm going to go over here, right? You said I could go there. She said I could go there, but I'm going to go straight forward instead. I don't want to follow the path that's been set up for me. I want to find my own way. I want to manifest my own way forward. And the Queen of Wands. Interesting. So the Queen of Wands, I'm just looking at the way, I'm just thinking about the way the spread is symmetrical. And it's almost like there's a choice, maybe. So usually when I read tarot, I read left to right, which is what I was doing just now, right? I flip the cards over left to right. But sometimes my belief is that there are no rules in tarot and that you should listen to the cards. And if the cards say do something different, then you should do that different thing, right? And so when I flip the third card, I see it's like there's a mirror pattern happening. And it's like your new direction could either be this, Queen of Wands, or it could be that, the Magician. So I think maybe there's a new kind of direction that you need to take for yourself to heal. And the Queen of Wands is someone who is often very social. She's fiery. She can be the life of the party. She's a lot of fun. She can be a performer, someone who likes attention from other people, not necessarily in a bad way, although some people don't like that personality in another person. But so I almost wonder if you're being given a sense of like you need to find a new direction for yourself by choosing which aspects of your personality to nurture, right? And sort of invest in. And so some bad or negative or shadow qualities for each of these figures would be with the Magician. The Magician can be tricky. The Magician doesn't always tell the truth. The Magician can create illusions and make people think things that aren't actually true, right? Think about a magician like in Las Vegas or something where it's all smoke and mirrors and maybe it's fun, but it's not real, right? And so you can sometimes we have to be careful around the Magician because they can play tricks on us. And if we know that they're doing that and it's just for entertainment, that's great. But if we don't know, and if they're doing something behind our back, right? Like this could be, the cards are suggesting like, if you can recognize any of the shadow qualities of the Magician in yourself, watch out for that. Be like, maybe you need to find a new direction away from them. With the Queen of Batons, because she's so sort of fiery, she can be very bold and courageous, but also she can be quicker to anger, right? And she can sometimes crave approval from other people to too great an extent, to an extent where like it's actually because of her own kind of insecurity that she's craving other people's sort of attention, right? And so the healing message, I think, here is that you have a choice about the new direction that you're going to take forward for yourself. I think what I'd like to do, if it sounds good to you, is pull two more cards and turn this into a cross spread. So we've got the horizontal 3 cards, but let's put one above and one below. And the card above will indicate what you should do. And the card below will indicate don't do that, right? So This is what you should do. This is what you should not do. You should be a Knight of Batons, right? So you should be a batons person, right? This would be like, be courageous, be bold, be social, don't be afraid to take risks. Don't be afraid to move quickly, right? Think about how quickly fire moves. Wands are fire. It moves very, very quickly. It burns, it's passionate, it goes, right? 2 of Wands. Okay, so do be the Knight of Batons and don't be the 2. That's really clear because the center card is the 3, right? New direction. And so this is saying, don't get stuck in the pre-chosen paths that are available to you and feel like the only direction that you can find in life is the one that everybody else has told you is what you're supposed to do. Instead, you have to be bold, you have to be courageous, you have to be willing to go your own direction, even if it's not what other people think is right for you. Does that make sense? Okay, sounds like it does make sense. You're healing from a breakup and other things at the same time. Yeah, I would concentrate on friendships. I would concentrate on being social with other people, not for the purpose of dating necessarily, but you know, for maintaining and improving and growing friendships, that kind of thing. And you know, whatever, you know, think about like, what are other people telling you that you should do? You don't necessarily need to do that. Right? That's sort of the point I think that the 3 of Wands is trying to make, right? Because it's the center card of the spread. So it's like the most important one is find a new direction, even if it's not the one that other people think is for you, right? Like maybe one direction is the person you used to be dating, and it's like, nope, that wasn't the right direction for me, right? And then maybe the other direction is, oh, I don't know, maybe someone's trying to set you up and you're like, I don't really think I like that person. I don't want to go out with that person. Don't be afraid to say, I'm going to go a different direction than what's been set out for me from the beginning. Okay, folks. My name is Will, and I've been doing some free tarot readings here. I'm at the 3-hour and 8-minute mark, so my voice is pretty dry, and you're very welcome for the reading. I speak my truth. My voice is pretty dry, and it's dinner time for me here where I am, so I am going to have to end the live stream. If I wasn't able to read for you today, please consider subscribing to the channel so that you can see when I will be on in the future. And if I was able to read for you and you enjoyed it and would like to get a reading again in the future, I also encourage you to subscribe to the channel. My name is Will, as I said, and it's a fairly new channel. It's just been around for a couple of months, and very recently I've started doing live streams to do live readings, and I've really been enjoying them. So I will leave it there. I thank you very much to everybody who I was able to read for. I know I didn't get to all of the folks today, but I did my very, very best, and I think I did get to a lot of you. Let me just see. how many I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I did 10, 11. I did 11 yeah, I think I did 11 free readings. So in 3 hours. So that's about 15 minutes each. Yep, that's what I thought. All right. So if I didn't get to read for you, consider subscribing. Maybe I'll be able to read for you in the future. And have a great evening. Be well, be safe wherever you are. And I will see you in the future. Bye, everyone.